Alex Hormozi recently broke the business space with his latest launch of his book, $100 million Offers. And many of you know that Alex is growing a portfolio of businesses that are generating over 200 million annually. And I'm 100% convinced that none of this would be possible if he didn't master YouTube as a lead generation machine just by building trust with his audience. Now, the issue is pretty obvious. Alex has years of content that you would have to watch to find a real value on how he actually used YouTube to generate qualified leads and build trust at scale. So to save you time, I had to watch hours of his interviews, videos and podcasts, and in this video, we're going to be going through Alex Hormozi's best YouTube advice for business owners, so you can finally turn YouTube into a predictable lead machine.
We're going to cover the same metrics as before, and we're going to start with who? What percentage of families over 100K are here? Survey says 89%. So take that in consideration versus TikTok, which was much, much lower than that. All right. People who have money are on YouTube. The next thing is, what percentage of the United States is on here? 83%. All right. So you've got a huge percentage of the people who are making the most money on the platform.
So yeah, Alex is totally right. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine after Google, and Google owns YouTube, so it's basically the same thing. Again, YouTube has more than 2.7 billion monthly active users, so you can imagine that your ISP is definitely on YouTube. It doesn't matter in what niche you always have some total addressable market, and you always have something to share. So yeah, definitely your ISP is on YouTube. Alex is absolutely right. You just need to create specific videos that solve specific problems for your ISP. But a little bit on that later.
And so growth for this platform really comes down to how discoverable is your content on the platform. And to give you context, for me at least, 80% of my traffic comes from the suggested or browse features, meaning more than 3/4 of the people that come and watch my stuff, maybe you right now, actually weren't coming because you were a subscriber, but because the algorithm said you might like this video. And so for me, I rate this as high.
So Alex is absolutely right. The growth opportunity on YouTube is insane for business owners. You just need to make the right content. That's why at Channel Flow we use what we call the trifecta system. And this is just like a funnel. We have top of the funnel, we have middle, and we have bottom of the funnel. So yeah, and each one of these video formats speaks directly to our ICP, and each one is designed to, again, like he said, you have the discovery tab, you have the research, YouTube search, and you have the recommended, right? So each one of these ideas, again, is a specific video that target your ICP. Most of the time, this is videos that speaks directly to your ICP's problems, and in this video, you solve a specific problem. Let's say how to ideate videos, how to ideate YouTube videos, how to make thumbnails, how to create thumbnails that close high-ticket clients, and so on, right? You can see how I'm solving specific problem that someone will go on search, on YouTube search, and you start typing how to fix a specific problem. After that, we have the middle of the funnel. These are mostly from the discovery tab because these are more of a, in these videos, you want to break limiting beliefs and educate your audience. Basically, you want to share your knowledge and expertise. With this kind of videos, you build trust and authority in the space. So it's basically something like why you shouldn't run paid ads, do this instead, which is basically YouTube, and you're going to be positioning your expertise. And then you have the bottom of the funnel, which is basically case studies. We have case studies and client interviews. So in this kind of videos, the whole idea is to build trust and authority. You want to show that you can deliver the same results for your audiences. This is basically your most valuable sales asset that you can have on your channel or in your whole business, because again, you show that you can get real results for real people.
Now, the next question is, okay, so we've got the right people, we can grow on this platform, these are all pluses. So the next thing is, well, how much time are these people actually spending with you so you can really provide value? Well, for us, our average view duration per video across all channels is over 8.5 minutes. All right, so it's 8.5 minutes. Now compare that to the 5 to 20 seconds that we're getting on TikTok. I mean, we're talking 20 times. I didn't do the math, but it's a lot. A lot more time is spent here versus others. And so this allows you to develop a more realistic, a deeper, realer relationship with your audience because you can actually give them value that they can do stuff with.
So yeah, this is why YouTube is so good for business owners, is because you can spend 8 minutes, as Alex Hormozi said, 8 minutes with your ICP. And if you take shorts or TikTok or any reels, it's going to be like 30 to 60 seconds. I guess you can see what's the difference this is, from 10 to 30 times more. And you can imagine that if you use the Google's rule, which is the 7-hour rule, is if someone actually spends 7 hours with you, watching your content, getting nurtured, having 11 touch points, and so on, YouTube, you just need to watch 10 to 15 videos and someone will 100% buy from you. It's not exactly 7 hours, but it's close to that. If you just make 10 to 15 videos and they're actually great videos that can be watched, they're binge watchable, and it's going to be so much easier to make money on YouTube. And again, the difference between the long form and the short form is immense. And with short form, you don't build the same trust, you don't share the same expertise. That's why YouTube is so great. And again, if you start to compare it to like tweets, to LinkedIn, to IG Reels, to TikTok, most of this doesn't have that's the same lifetime or lifespan as a YouTube video, because with a YouTube video, they don't die off. They always stay on your back catalog or your YouTube channel, and people can always watch them even in like 1 year time. But you just need to make great videos that actually drive you thousands of views every single month.
Now, let's talk about results, because all of this stuff is conjecture. Let's get to the brass tacks, which is, here's the crazy thing. Drum roll. 28.6% of our traffic comes from YouTube. All right, so a massive amount. But there's another caveat that I want to put on top of this. Our YouTube traffic converts at 3 to 4 times every other platform. So when people, these clicks that go here are worth a ton. And so the actual percentage of the contacts that we create, people who want to become portfolio companies, business owners that want to scale and go to acquisition.com, almost 60% of those contacts actually come from YouTube originally.
So again, this is why YouTube is so great for business owners. You get so much value. As Alex said, he gets 3 to 4 times more conversions. They're just ready to buy because they already know your expertise, your knowledge. You have the case studies because people spend so much time with you. They start to like you, and people buy from people that they like. Again, this is why YouTube is so great for business owners. You can show everything that you know. You can add your competitive edge, and you can basically stand out for your competition. Obviously, on that a little bit later.
With all that being said, the YouTube gets the highest praise in the internet ecosystem, Jesus, and gets the S tier ranking, because this is where I'm doubling down and continuing to pour more and more resources, because this is where I'm getting the best returns.
Again, Alex said it, he put it into an S tier because it's so great. And if he's doing it, why are you not doing it? This is why, again, if you think that this is too much work for you and you're looking for someone to handle the whole process, so you can actually make great content that is going to be driving you qualified rates every single month, the only thing that you need to do is record 30 minutes a week, while we handle everything else at Channel Flow: the editing, the thumbnails, the scripting, the ideation, the SEO, and the posting. The only thing that you need to do is just record the videos and we handle the rest. You can book a call in the first link in the description with me. Before that, you may be thinking, okay, we all know that about YouTube, but how do you actually ideate your videos?
Let's talk about pre-work for a second. So going from post-production to pre-search. So instead of saying, hey, let's just record something and then fix it in post, anybody who's in the media side knows what I'm talking about, 4 weeks of editing after, almost no prep to get a video out. Well, what if we did 4 weeks of research and then we have almost no editing because we thought of everything ahead of time? Well, guess what? The videos where we spent, like the hour-to-hour ratio is stupid, and I'll get to that in a second. But if we spend a quarter of the time that we used to spend on post in pre, we eliminate 90%, maybe 95% of our post-edit work and man hours. And for the business owners in the room, that's real cost. That's real savings. And for the also business owners in the room, that also means increased production. So if I can take the quarter of the time and I can get almost 0 time on the back end, that's 4 times the videos. But not only is it 4 times the output, it's also higher quality for your goal and your audience. So this is a big thing that we noticed. The videos that we spent the most time on the front end, we spent less time on the back, and they did better.
Alex is totally right. This is what we do at Channel Flow. We spend insane amount of time on ideating, creating the ideas, the thumbnails, titles, so it actually makes a great video, because editing isn't the main thing here. You're a business channel. You want to educate and provide value to your audience. We spend so much time into creating the ideation, the strategy, how each video is going to play into each other. And I see it with a lot of business owners. They spend, again, thousands and hours of work doing revisions, thinking about how their video is going to be looking, but they don't actually put any thought into how to make the videos better than their competitors. They don't do any niche competitor research. They don't do anything that makes the videos better. So again, this is a great advice from Alex, the time needed to actually create videos that resonate with your ICP. So again, you don't have to spend thousands and hours of work on the post-production.
So now let's talk about why dinero. All right, and this will also ruffle some feathers and rattle some cages. So instead of talking about relationships and college and food and lifestyle, I'm going to be narrowing down, or doubling down on, if you will, business models, business leverage, and selling in a business. Notice business being in all of these videos and all these topics. And so that's how I'm going narrower. Very simple. I'm going to go back a slide because I want to hit on this for a second. Just like I said earlier, that people who like entertainment also just want more entertainment. What we also found is that people who watch relationship stuff want more relationship stuff. As they should. That's what they clicked on. That's what they want. That makes sense. And people who want to learn about college are people trying to make a decision about college. Guess what those people probably aren't? Business owners. And people who want to learn about food, they watch other food videos. And people who want about lifestyle probably watch other lifestyle videos. But for me, those were not necessarily the people that vibe the most with my stuff. And that makes sense because, to be fair, this is a little bit more foreign to me. When I talk about business, I feel very comfortable. When I talk about these things, I just give what I would consider hot takes. This is my perspective. So that is what we're doubling down on in terms of the topics that we're choosing for the content we make.
Yep, and he's totally right again. Alex is spot on. I notice it with a lot of business owners that they don't know who they're actually speaking to. They don't know who their ISP is. And they make some random lifestyle videos. We have some cooking videos. We have some working out videos, you know, some random stuff that doesn't speak to your ISP, doesn't solve any real problems that your ideal client is facing. And you just may see, and you're basically making content that doesn't resonate with anyone. You speak to everyone and you actually don't know who you're creating content for. So again, this is what we do at Channel Flow. We come up with a whole ISP breakdown. We see who you're speaking to, their pains, desires, motivators, and fears. And from there, we create the thumbnails, the titles, the video ideas, and so on. So that is why here's how you can do it yourself. It's basically identify your ISP pains, desires, fears, and motivators. When you have this type of stuff, you can also go for demographics and psychographics, right? If you have all this stuff, it's so much easier to come up with ideas, titles, thumbnails, and so on. And the best thing is that you can just ask ChatGPT to come up with all this stuff. You give him some basic information and you'll be able to get you all that information. And from there, you can create ideas, thumbnails, and titles, etc. like I told you earlier.
And you can build a brand without babes, without stunts, or kittens. And I start this proof because lots of people talk about stuff that they haven't done and teach a lot of sucky fluff as a result. You can see the man there. He's saying the truth. This fluff sucks. And I refuse to do that.
Again, you don't need any of that. You don't need the vlogs about a day in the life of a millionaire. You don't need any women, any cars, any watches in your videos. What you need is actually content, again, that speaks to your ICP and solves a specific problem. This is how it works. You don't need any watches, any cars, any fancy vlogs. You just want to be authentic. You want to be yourself. You only need a couple of thousand of your ICP. And how you do that is by knowing who your ideal client is. From there, you target again his pains, fears, and desires. So now that you know how to ideate your videos, how do you actually make great thumbnails that get attention?
And if you're gonna obsess about something, these are the two things I would obsess on. Number one is the thumbnail. One of my last two videos was no BS advice on how to get rich in 10 years. And we split test 9 different thumbnails. And so thing one is the thumbnail matters a lot.
It's kind of crazy to test 9 thumbnails, but at his level of production is pretty normal. YouTube doesn't let you test out 9. It lets you test out 3 different titles with 3 different thumbnails. And again, if you mention that, okay, if your videos it doesn't matter how much value you give in your videos if no one watches it, right? You just need to get the click, and when someone gets the click, they will be sold on basically the other stuff in the video, like scripting. So that's why your thumbnail is basically your second priority. The first one is your ideation. And based on your ideation, you can create thumbnails and titles. Now that we know how to ideate them and actually how important thumbnail is how to actually create them.
The difference between these two thumbnails is going from vague to clear. All right, so if I looked at all the stuff that we did in the past, if I said, what is the video on the left about? You'd probably be like, a rule of some sort that might have to do with money. Not sure. If I said, what's the video on the right, the yellow background video? If I were to describe it, I'd probably say a map or a blueprint or schematics of some sort that go from 0 to 1 million. Okay, well, guess what? The one on the right, it's exactly that. The one on the left actually has nothing to do with what that thumbnail looks like. And what do you know? When people click on something that they don't know what it's about, they have a smaller percentage of getting something they actually want than if you say, this is what this is about, and then they get exactly what they think it's about. So we're going from vague to clear in both what it looks like, the thumbnails, and what we say about it, the headlines.
So yeah, basically your thumbnails needs to be as simple as possible. They're easy to read. You have a clean headshot of you. You want to use high quality assets and you want to make it super easy to understand. And I want to add on what he actually said about headlines, which is the title, right? Your headline is your title. You have the thumbnail, right? I notice it with a lot of business owners is whatever they write in the title, they put it in the thumbnail. If you have a how to make 10K a month in your title and then you put it in your thumbnail, it doesn't work that way, right? It's like, it doesn't work that way. You want to play into each other. So your title and thumbnail needs to play into each other. So this creates this kind of a flywheel effect where when someone watches your title, it gets the attention and then the title gets the click. So now you have the necessary information to create your thumbnails, but how do you actually write scripts and hooks that actually gets people to watch?
You want to be done talking about what the video is going to be about and start. And this is something that when I see a beginner video, I watch and it's like 2 minutes before they actually start the video. You've already lost everyone. And so you're going to lose most people in the first 30 seconds. And so you want to crush the intro so they know it's exactly what you promised in the thumbnail headline. And then you get to the meat as fast as possible. And this video right here, we did 8 different takes of the intro where I slowly worked from 30 seconds down to 8. And then that's what became the intro that you saw before seeing this moment right now.
So basically, if you're a B2B, there's a big difference between B2B and B2C. That's why you want to keep it as short as possible, clear as possible. Most likely, most of the time, you have like 8 seconds to 30 seconds is for B2B is the norm. So you actually give the necessary information for people to judge if they actually want to stay till the end of the video. In a little bit, I will show you a proven framework that Hormozi is using and is getting great results. We're also doing for our clients.
And to figure out what made intros for our videos work, I actually rewatched my top 35 educational videos. This actually took some time. And so let me just save you like a lot of hours and just give you the nugget. And so I actually developed a new moniker around how to think about introductions for ourselves that I'm spreading throughout my whole team, and you can just steal it. Proof, promise, plan. So I'll break down all 3 of these. So all of the introductions of the best education videos that we had these 3 characteristics. And I want to make one point about the order of these, is that you can have these 3 mixed in any order you want. I would emphasize the one that is the most important for that particular piece of content. So if you have something that you're making that you think the proof is going to be really important, then lead with that. If you have a promise that's incredibly important for the audience, then lead with that. If you have a plan that for some reason is going to be more emphasized, then lead with that. But I would say that for our content, for the most, because I'm a business educator about making money in general, most people have this big glaring sign above their head before they can even turn on the volume of their brain, which is, why should I listen to you? And so I tend to lead with proof. And so proof is that you prove that you know what you're talking about. You give people a reason to believe you. The promise is to tell them what they're going to get or learn from the video. And the plan sets the expectations of what will happen next.
This is the same framework that uses channel flow and Hormozi is talking about. It's insanely good. Let's talk about the hook. So in the hook, you have 3 parts, which is the proof, plan, and promise. Start with proof. We start with the proof. And how you should be doing that is you need to say who you are, your social proof, and why people should listen to you in the first place. Because it doesn't matter how much value you're going to be giving, you need to establish yourself as an authority. I did that in the intro, but I didn't use my social proof. I used Alex Hormozi's. Alex Hormozi recently broke the business space with his latest launch of his book, $100 million offers. And he generated over 100 million from a single book launch. And many of you know Alex is growing a portfolio of businesses that are generating over 200 million annually. And again, this is the perfect proof is I'm showing you why should you listen to me or why you should listen based on Alex Hormozi's proof that he actually makes 200 million annually, that he did a book launch and made half of his annual income and so on. After that, we have the plan. So the plan is basically giving a rough outline of what the video is about. Let's say the 5-step process, the playbook, the blueprint, etc, etc. How it looks is what I did is this is the plan. In this video, we're going to be going through Alex Hormozi's best advice on YouTube for business owners. Specifically, the best advice is the plan, right? We're going to be going through the best advice of Alex Hormozi's YouTube videos. Then we have the promise. So the promise is, as he said, you set the expectations for the video, what you're going to promise your audience. Most of the time, this should be connected to a desire your ICP has or something new that they're about to learn. So how it should look most of the time is how can you get your viewer from point A to point B, basically from $0 to 10K a month. So here's how I did it in the hook, especially how to edit videos, create thumbnails, write killer scripts, and how to edit your videos so you can finally turn YouTube into a predictable lead machine. Again, I'm promising you that you can turn YouTube into a predictable lead machine by watching this video. This is a promise. Now you know how to create your hook, how to ideate it, how to use the proven framework that Hormozi shares is the proof, plan, and promise. How do you create the body where all the meat will be and all the value will be.
Third, now let's talk about how this strategy changes the meat of the content. What we're actually like the real bones, the potatoes, all right? Is that going from B-reel / vlog stuff, because we have made that, to list, steps, and stories. When we looked at the educational content that did the best, they had more of the right and less of the left.
So for business videos, what you need to do is have a clear plan for the video. This is what we do in the hook. We establish the plan. So let's say the plan is your proven 5-step guide to losing 30 pounds. And for some reason, the human brain likes patterns. When you establish that pattern in the video, people have a clear guide on how the video is going to be unfolding. If you can properly do that, let's say the 5-step videos, this is why you should be adding lists and animations that actually add on top of what you're saying, but a little bit later on animations. First, now let's get into the body. How we do the bodies is where all the meat will be, all the value, right? Here you have the bullet points. So first you need to start with bullet points. You shouldn't be doing word-for-word scripts. You don't sound authentic. You read off a script, a teleprompter. You sound too robotic. Only do it if you actually need it. But most of the time, if you're an expert, you will be able to elaborate on your points and actually make great videos. Why we do that is because you can stay authentic, but by adding your own knowledge and expertise and just revolve. How to structure it. Now, this is pretty important, is you need to have 3 to 5 main bullet points. So this is a main bullet point, right? The body, the outro is a sub bullet point, but you have the hook is a main bullet point, right? You need to have 3 to 5 of these. This isn't a gospel. Obviously, if the video is longer, it has too much value in it, then you can get it to like 10 or more, right? Most of the time, this is what happens for free course videos, but that's for another video. Then we have the 3 to 7 sub bullet points. So now this is just, again, this is an example of sub bullet points. I have 4 in this case. The whole idea here is that you want to sound as natural as possible, like talking in a sales call. So you actually make great videos, you stay authentic, and this plays a big role in actually building trust with your audience. And you can leave some notes, like give an example. Then I want to talk about mini hooks, mini payoffs, and open loop questions. This is basically the same thing, but most of the time you hear it with different names. Is how this works is this creates something like a wave effect where you build anticipation, curiosity, and then give them the payoff. What we do is we have the setup, we have the tension, and then you have the payoff. This is again a pretty good framework that we're using. Is the setup is you set up the stage, you build the tension by telling a story, giving an example, and at the end you give the payoff. This is what will get you a lot of that big high retentions, makes people watch throughout the whole video. Why you should be using this is because you need to keep the viewer hooked before the next payoff. And again, this creates this pattern that something is about to happen, then he gets the payoff, and then we build it again and again. So here you have the outro. So the outro, the whole idea is to keep it as short as possible. We don't want to waste anybody's time. And how it looks is first we funnel them to book a call with you, and if they're not warm enough, what we want to do is funnel them to another relevant video. So that way they stay as long as possible on the channel, and that way YouTube can put as much ads as it can, and that way the algorithm pushes your videos. That signals to YouTube that, okay, your videos are great, let's push them more, let's make more money. That's how it works. And here's an example how to properly funnel people to another relevant video. So now you know how to script your videos using psychology, and you'll be able to speed up the process by 10 times. But how do you actually make thumbnails that get attention, right? You can see how I'm opening the loop, and then I'm going to be funneling them to another video is by saying, okay, click the video on screen right now, so you can watch the whole breakdown of how we create thumbnails. So now that you know how to write killer scripts, you need to move on to how to basically put CTAs that actually gets the calls booked, right? This is the most important part, is the conversion part where you basically go from viewer to a buyer.
And so for here, I would rate this low to medium. The community tab kind of brings it up a little bit, but by and large, it's very hard for people to immediately convert. They basically have to click a link somewhere else. And if you put it in the video, it does kill your view duration. So it's like, if you're going to say something, you just got to make it short, make sure that it's not too big of an ask from the audience. And then you can put links in the description, which, by the way, if you look at our description, you can just look, you want to put it above the fold. So you want to have to be the first thing that somebody sees before they even click see more is where you want to drive them. You can also, pro tip, put the first comment that you have in the comment section, just pin that comment. So that gives you 2 different places, and third inside the video where you can drive traffic. This is just something that I've learned over time.
Yep, this is what we exactly do at Channel Flow. So first, for CTAs, you need to have the first link in the description to be exactly that. You want to do something simple, work with us, and then you have the link to your channel. After that, what we do is we have if you want to book 10 30 qualified sales calls every month to YouTube, click the first link in the description and book a call with me, right? This is what we do. And you have the mid-roll CTA. So this is what you should be adding in your script. That wasn't mentioned before. So with the mid-roll CTA is how this looks is, so since 70% of your videos will stay at around the 30% mark of the video, we need to add a CTA here because this is a little sneaky CTA, so don't worry about it. This is just letting people know that you sell something. The whole idea is to put the CTA, and after that we have a open loop question. Like I mentioned before, we have the mini hooks, open loop questions. The whole idea is to build curiosity for the next step. For most of the time, CTAs will kill your attention because nobody really wants to get sold on. But yeah, you don't want to make a whole 2-minute pitch about your program, what you're gonna get, and so on. Then you have the outro. So in the outro you have again a CTA that is a little bit more hard pitch. Sometimes you can do it depending on the type of videos. So basically, as you can see, this is super quick. Is if you're a B2B, B2C coach or info product seller and you're doing 20 to 100K a month and want us to install the YouTube trifecta system for you, you can book 10 to 30 qualified calls per month. Click the first link in the description to work with it. Again, you need to do that at the end. The more CTAs you have, most of the time is better, but you don't need to go overboard with them. This is just enough to actually turn YouTube into a lead machine. So now that you know how to create CTAs that are going to be booking your call, get high conversions, and actually start making money from YouTube, how do you actually add visuals, edit your videos, and don't spend thousands on editors and thousands of hours in revisions?
From overproduction, and I want to be clear, not overproduction, overproduction for the objective. So it's not like my team did anything wrong or anything like that. It's just that if we want to educate, sometimes production distracts from the objective of education. If the point for entertainment is to get someone to watch, then adding lots of things can be a good thing. But if you're trying to learn physics and there's whiz bangs and pop-ups and changing backgrounds, it's really hard to learn. And if that's the throughput or that's the point of the video, then it actually detracts rather than adds. And so the difference that I put in this example here is we have a background that changes colors while I'm teaching something. It does not help someone understand the subject matter better, fundamentally. Changing background color will not help anyone learn more. On the flip side, clarifying what words on a screen are, because maybe my handwriting's not that good, would help people understand. That's the difference. So overproduction to effective production, from distracting to enhancing, from visual effects to visualizing data. So instead of having flames behind me, it's what does this look like on a chart? So we can give relative scale, so we can have scope, so we can show changes over time. And so that's how the visuals that did the best looked like.
I see it with a lot of business owners is they try to spend thousands and hours of post-production. They don't actually put any thought into their branding, the style of editing that your ISP is searching for. Let's say that you're targeting older generation that is 50 to 60. It's obvious that you won't have some crazy animations, transition every 2 seconds, and so on. You want to keep it as raw as possible and only add animations or visuals when it's needed, right? This is why YouTube is so good, is because you have the visual part and then you have the verbal part, and you can connect them and make a great educational video. But he's totally right. You don't need any crazy visuals. You just need something that emphasizes what you're saying, so it's a lot easier for a viewer to understand. This is why we do a list. Again, this comes to the scripting, is that's why you have step by step. You have step 1, step 2, step 3, and you just do a simple animation by doing the next step, which is step 1, right? And then you move to the step 2, and you just made simple animations, so you don't have to first burn out your editor. You don't have to spend 1 week creating a video that shouldn't be taking you 3 days. This is why it's so good. And I want to give you a pro tip is if you have a editor that you've been working for so long, just create templates. With these templates can be reused for basically the same animations for different videos, but you get the point. Templates will save you a lot of money and time. So that's Alex Hormozi's complete YouTube blueprint for business owners. You can take everything I just shared and implement it yourself. But here's the reality. You need to learn filming, editing, thumbnails, scripting, SEO, and manage production every single week. And most likely you spend 10 to 15 hours per week on content instead of sales calls, scaling your business and making more money. You waste 6 to 12 months figuring it out through trial and error. So if you're a B2B, B2C coach or info product seller and you're doing 20 to 100K a month, I want us to install the YouTube Trifecta system for you so you can book 10 to 30 qualified calls per month. Click the first link in the description and book a call with me. And before you try to piece together this entire YouTube system yourself, click this video right here, which is a full masterclass where I show my exact process for growing your business with YouTube in 2026. From coming up with ideas, creating the title and thumbnail, scripting the video and recording it, as well as other steps such as video editing and even SEO. So click this video on screen and I'll see you there.